Once a giant, always a giant. For me, it's only a giant.
What's going on YouTube? D546. Definitely hit that subscribe button if you're new. Like the video if you like the video. And I won't tell if you click that bell. But let's go ahead and get into this. All right, so this week we've got a really interesting opponent. I mean, the past 2 weeks they put up 37 points a game. I think they are averaging 29 for the season. But like I said, the past 2 weeks they put up 37. They're a powerhouse. I mean, if you look at it, they're a powerhouse to be scoring that much consistently the last 2 weeks. It all starts with Geno Smith. 4 touchdowns and interceptions, 736 yards on the season, 68% completion percentage. Always a high completion percentage since he's taken over in their role. That's also 7 percentage points higher than his expected completion percentage. So he's making some nice throws. He's putting the ball in places where his receivers can get it. 8.7% aggressiveness. Not the most aggressive player, but if you leave one of those wide receivers one-on-one, you see it on tape. If you leave one of those guys one-on-one, he's taking that shot 9 times out of 10. He's not scared to throw the ball down the field if he thinks he has a good opportunity to get it done. But he's not going to be a guy that's just forcing the ball in the tight areas just to do it. They throw it short most of the time. So most of the time they're throwing it short. They're throwing it under 10 yards, and they're pretty solid with that. They get the job done, but they bring the defense up by throwing those short passes, and then that's when they can start to make those big plays over the top. In the middle area of the field, and I don't mean in the middle of the field, but those medium throws, 10 to 19 yards. Geno Smith is 15 for 15 and a touchdown. So he has not thrown an incompletion yet from 10 to 19 yards. So that is definitely impressive to see. But they haven't been able to hit those big passes over the top the way that they were able to last year at the same rate. He's only hit 4 passes over 20 yards this year so far. And that is at 30%. I think he's hit 4 out of like 17 or something. Basically, it's a lot lower than it was last year, where they were hitting over 50% of their deep passes because he was so selective with it. Over 50% were getting completed. This year is 30%, which isn't bad, but he just has not been as effective throwing the ball deep downfield, and that's not to say it won't change. 82% and 2 touchdowns on play action for Geno Smith. They run a ton of play action. I mean, they run just as much play action as we do, and it works. It's effective for them. So they're going to run mostly play action when we see them. 3 big time throws, and that's those throws that are above the numbers, throws that really put the receiver in a great position, that are aggressive and big plays. He has 3 of those, and all 3 of them are off of play action. So when he's running play action, he's aggressive, he's assertive, and he gets things done, and he's efficient. So that is definitely something to pay attention to with Geno Smith. DK Metcalf is very self-explanatory. We know who he is as a receiver. Big body receiver. He can run slants, shield people off with his body. He can get downfield. He can go up and high point the ball. He can run past people. You can throw this guy a screen as big as he is. He can catch the ball, and he's not going to he's not going to be so elusive, but he is going to have guys bouncing off of him because he's so physical and so big of a player. So he's a guy that can be a headache for a defense. Now, I'm not going to say he's like a top 3 receiver or anything, but he's a dominant receiver. So that's him. Tyler Lockett has just been Mr. Consistent. He catches everything. He runs every route pretty much. And he's a guy that can be a deep threat. And he's a guy that can be a medium threat. So Lockett and DK are a problem. JSN is a guy that they just drafted in the first round this year, a guy that I wanted on the Giants. But he has not really gotten a breakout yet. He has 9 catches for 57 yards, so he's done nothing really special yet. Hopefully that continues in this week against the Giants. But JSN hasn't really found his stride yet. So looking at their offensive line, it all starts with Charles Cross, and he's coming back from injury this week. In 24 pass blocking attempts in week 1, he gave up no pressures. Their guard, Ben Brown, gave up no pressures. Their other guard, Phil Haynes, has given up 1 pressure and a sack. Abraham Lucas is on IR, so he's not going to be playing, but he also gave up no pressures, but that's not really relevant here. But when you look at their backup tackles, I'll say Stone Forsythe, their backup left tackle, who's not going to be playing anymore, but he's given up 5 hurries, he's given up 10 pressures. And then Jake Curhan, who I'm not sure if he'll play right tackle or if Stone Forsythe will play right tackle, but if Jake Curhan is going to play right tackle for them, he's given up 14 pressures, no sacks, but 14 pressures, 13 hurries, and a quarterback hit. And either one of these tackles should be a weak point on the offensive line, honestly, because the rest of their guys, the guards, and Charles Cross, by the most part, did a really good job in pass protection. So the offensive line is something to watch out for as far as Charles Cross, the guards, the center, but at right tackle, that should be a real weak point, which is what we thought would be coming in to this year, but seems like we have a little bit more weak points than they do on the offensive line if everybody's healthy. Also, they've been doing a really good job running the football, so that offensive line has been doing something right as far as that, playing with mostly backups too. So let's look at Kenneth Walker. The guy Kenneth Walker he's a cutback running back. He's a cutback running back. He can get to the edge, but he also pretty much never runs the design run play. He's always cutting back. He's always trying to find the hole somewhere. And a lot of times he does a really good job. A lot of times he does a really good job. And you know he's a cutback runner because he spends the third most amount of time behind the line of scrimmage at 3.3 seconds. So that means that if this Giants defense swarms to the football, he's going to be cutting back a lot of times, and he's going to have a chance for us to lose yards this week because he spends a lot of time behind the line of scrimmage. He's had 4 touchdowns the past 2 weeks, 2 last week, 2 the week before. So he's a headache running back. And he breaks tackles. So we got to tackle this week. We got to rally to the football, or else he's going to cut back and he's going to make a big run, and we're going to be giving up points. So that is the Seahawks offensive personnel. They're 30% on third down, which is something I thought was weird to put up that many points at 30% on third down. Shows that they're not really getting to that many third downs. So when they do get to third down, we got to stop them. We got to get off the field 100%. And we also have got to make sure they get to a ton of third downs, which I think the Giants have done a really good job at these last couple weeks. But we've got to actually get off the field when we get to third down, which seems like they're not effective there. So if we can get them to third down, we have a good shot. But also the Giants defense is giving up 48% on third down. So which one is going to give? Now, taking a look at the defense, they've got 5 sacks this year. They blitzed the Panthers. They just kept blitzing them. The Panthers really didn't have an answer for it in that second half and kind of part of the first half too. And there was nothing the Panthers could really do. Their offensive line was kind of just giving up pressure that way. The Giants' offensive line has to do a good job picking up the blitz. Now, the Seahawks don't blitz a bunch, but they may look at something on tape and say, we're going to continue what we did last week, and we're just going to blitz these guys until they have to get into something else. The Panthers started max protecting, just like we did last week against the 49ers, but no one could get open. It's the same thing as we did last week. So we have got to just play a better game. We got to pick up the blitz when it comes, and we have got to make them pay. There's a ton of athletes on that defensive line, starting with Boye Mafe. You got Draymond Jones. You got Nwosu. You got Mario Edwards, who's been a guy who's been a good edge rusher for a long time in the NFL. They all have decent PFF grades, but there's not really one dominant pass rusher. There's not one guy where you say, this dude is going to completely wreck the game. So if we're not horrible at right tackle, I really think we should be okay as far as pass protection goes. I just don't see a guy who's like a game wrecker, a guy that is a Nick Bosa or Micah Parsons, which we've shown that we can't deal with. We've shown that guys with superhuman pass rushers, we just haven't been able to deal with that. But I don't see that this week. So unless you count Jamal Adams, who is coming back this week. So that is their defensive line. They're giving up 2.9 yards a carry this year, which is stupendous. That is elite. They're not giving up much yards in the running game. So that's something we need to also, we may have to abandon the run, or we may just have to go strength on strength as far as Saquon Barkley against this run defense. But they're giving up 2.9 yards per carry. So that is, again, elite. Everybody knows who Bobby Wagner is. He needs no introduction. He's not the coverage backer that he used to be, but he's solid in coverage, and he's really good still against the run game. So Bobby Wagner is going to be all over the place. You don't want to give him any opportunities to make any plays. So no passes batted into the air. No drop passes batted into the air this week because you got Bobby Wagner back there. You're going to have Jamal Adams, guys who just are playmakers that are back there, Tariq Woolen. So clean football this week on offense. Still a solid player, Bobby Wagner is. And when you look at the secondary, now they drafted my cornerback one this year, Devin Witherspoon, to pair with Tariq Woolen. So that is a respectable pairing, but Witherspoon so far has not been elite. In 2 games so far, he's given up 8 for 18 for 95 yards and a touchdown. So about 40-something yards a game, and not horrible, but not elite at that position. So I think there will be opportunities to be had. Tariq Woolen in 2 games has given up 2 catches for 7 yards. So we're not going to be throwing that way. The good thing for me is I don't think they have an answer for Darren Waller besides, of course, rushing the passer, but I don't think they have that either. So I think Darren Waller could have a big game this week. And the Seahawks defense has not done a good job overall in the passing game because they've given up 984 yards passing. That's been a lot because of Julian Love. He hasn't played well. They've missed over 30 tackles, just the same way the Giants have. And 984 yards passing this year, like I said, and 5 touchdowns. So not the best. Second worst in the league as far as passing yards goes. And I think the key is getting into the red zone because the Seahawks have given up 100% in the red zone. 100%, 100. If you get down into the red zone against Seattle, you're going to score. So hopefully we can continue that and we can keep that part of it going. But the red zone is going to be key because if we can get down there, I think there are plays to be made. Now, I want to interrupt this with a quick word from a sponsor, Underdog Fantasy on the channel. And I want to just give my underdog pick'ems for this week. Last week we didn't do so well for the Giants, but I still did win a pick'em this week. And I'm going to go this week, Daniel Jones, higher than 217.5 yards because look how many yards the Seahawks have given up this year. Waller higher than 45 yards because I just mentioned I don't see an answer there for him. And I think if we're avoiding Woolen, there's going to be a lot of things in the middle of the field. And then, of course, Kenneth Walker against the Giants, who have not been they just haven't been doing a good job in the run game. I have him higher than 64 rushing yards. So hopefully it's 65 rush yards for everybody's sake. But listen, folks, this week for Underdog Fantasy, they usually match you all the way up to 100%, up to $100. But this time, they're matching you all the way up to $500. So I usually say if you go up to $100, they'll put in $100 for you. If you put $500 in the app, they will match you $500. So this is the week that they're doing this. I would take advantage of it if you're planning on adding in anything into Underdog Fantasy for the first time. You're going to get matched up to $500. So if you use code Diggy, you will get that match. And good luck this week. So now let's talk about us. This isn't going to be as deep an analysis because we know our team. I mean, anybody's watching this video that's looking for Giants content creators online, you know about your team. Daniel Jones he's just got to play better. He's got to get the ball out of his hands. He has got to take the shots because there will be a ton of deep shots available this week. Saquon Barkley's coming back maybe this week. And if he does, he's got to catch the ball. We cannot have a turnover that happens because of Saquon Barkley. We just absolutely cannot have that. And if he's back, he may not be able to run the football because they're so elite against the run so far. So he may have to be a guy that catches a bunch of short passes. So if he does, he's got to catch the ball and he's got to make people miss in the open field because they have proven that they can't tackle. I'm also going to be looking at a guy like Wan'Dale Robinson, who's good after the catch, and Paris Campbell, who's supposed to be good after the catch. So we need those guys to go to work this week. We need those guys to show up in a big way. I need 300 yards passing this week because I think that's our best. I think that's the best route to winning this week. So Waller is at 63% completion. I want to see that eventually this season go up to around 75%. So when Daniel Jones is throwing it to him, 75% of the time he's catching it. He's the tight end. We have not taken any big shots to him. We've thrown a couple of interceptions going towards Waller. So let's kind of slow that down. Let's get him the ball and some easy plays, and let's let him start to make plays for us on a weekly basis because this defense, again, will allow yards after the catch. They will miss tackles. So as far as offense goes, we've got to make plays. We've got to take advantage because Andrew Thomas being back is going to neutralize that left side. I don't see Micah Parsons or Lawrence Taylor or anybody that's elite lining up over Andrew Thomas. And then on the other side, Evan Neal, just don't be horrible. If you're not horrible, you'll give up pressure sometimes. You won't give up pressure sometimes, but DJ will be able to, for the most part, sit in the pocket, find open guys, and make those plays. So that's what I'm thinking about on offense. As far as defense goes, we got to get pressure. Yes, these guards and centers on the Seahawks that have been that are the starters who they're getting back this week. Yes, they have not given up pressure, a bunch of pressure or sacks or anything like that. But we got Dexter Lawrence and Leonard Williams. So continue to push the pocket, continue to win inside. And I need whoever is lined up over there. If it's Azeez, I need Azeez to take over this game. Or I need you to move Thibodeau over there. But I need Azeez to take over this game because Charles Cross is playing lights out football when he's out there in pass protection. And we drafted him we drafted Evan Neal in the same draft that they took Charles Cross. So Charles Cross is doing his thing. So I'm not expecting to hear a bunch of noise from that side. But on the other side, let's go to work. Let's go to work. Dex, I expect you to win every single week. That needs to be something that happens. I just did a video on the defense on what I think some of the issues are on the defense, what we've done well that should be up right now. So you can take a look at that for some more defensive context. But pass rush, get home. Get home. You got to get home. You got to affect the passer. They're going to be running a ton of play action. Don't fall for it, but also stop the run. So it's a tough job. And these rookie corners, I'm expecting them to still play well, but they have a tall task. DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett is a tall task. So just stay disciplined there. Don't give up anything crazy over the top. But I think we can go out here and play against the Seahawks and win this game. I don't think it'll be a low-scoring game on either side because I don't have faith really in either defense to really neutralize the other. But let's give a score prediction this week. I didn't do it last week. I'll say Giants 31, Seahawks 24. So that's my score prediction, folks. You guys give yours down in the comments, and hopefully the Giants will leave this game with a win at 500. You made it this deep into the video. Come on, just hit the subscribe button. I make Giants content primarily, draft content secondarily, and during the season, I'm going to be doing a lot of reacting to pretty much most of the NFL games and everything NFL. So if you made it this deep, go ahead and join the D6 squad.